Hey everybody, welcome to another Cowboy Whey Wednesday. I'll just wait for a few people to jump on here. It's been pretty hot here in Arizona, that's for sure. Hot and humid. Been having some monsoons, getting some rain, which is good. But when we've got that humidity with it, man, it's kind of tough. So anyway, I'm super excited to have my man on tonight, James Phillips. He is the adaptive CrossFit Cowboy. I'm going to send him an invite right now, get him on here real quick. See where you're at, James. Hopefully that was the right one. We'll see. But yeah, so we're here for another Cowboy Whey Wednesday. And hope everybody trained today. I trained. I was actually excited about going to the gym today, and I trained legs. Felt good, felt strong, and just staying consistent, man. Training the body, training the mind every night as well, too. So important, so important. See if James can get on right here. Here he is. On in a minute. Now, James is an inspiration, man. This guy gets it done no matter what. And here he is. Hey, James.
How we doing?
Good, man. Good to have you on.
Good to be here. It's fun to watch.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good deal. Yeah, I was just saying, man, you are an inspiration. I mean, I'm going to have you on the podcast, so we'll do a whole episode and get your whole story. But just briefly, you've got cerebral palsy, correct?
Yes, sir. I
Yep.
call it being born lucky. I come out butt first because I wanted the world to see my best feature when I was born, and that's what caused it. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. It's a blessing because God thought I was strong enough to handle it, and I could have been normal. I get around on forearm crutches, so I call them my legs. So I could have been born with 2 legs instead of 4, but then again, what fun would that be?
Yeah. So now, I mean, I know you're a certified trainer, and you've been training for a long time. You've rode some bucking horses in the past. I've seen a bunch of other stuff. We'll talk about that on the podcast. But here recently, you ended up having to have a hip replacement, and I noticed that you're coming back training now. What kind of led up to that hip replacement?
Well, 36 years of living your life with no limits with cerebral palsy and paying the price for it. It's kind of like being a bull rider or any other athlete. You train hard enough or you do something long enough when your body's not designed to do it. Something's going to bend or break, and it bent and it broke. So we fixed it, and here in about 3 or 4 more months, hopefully we'll get back after it. I've got some other health issues that I've got to look into while I'm down that I've put off for years. I've been dealing with this hip issue for 4 years, 5 years, and it finally just went completely. So I thought, well, I'll be 4-legged and bionic. So
Now, how long ago did you have that surgery?
April 15th.
Okay. All right. Hey, so now, I mean, I've seen videos of you all the way back, doing martial arts when you were super young.
Oh yeah, I was about 12 years old when I got my black belt in Taekwondo. So.
Yeah. So you've never let anything hold you back. And then, how long ago was it that you were riding a few bucking horses?
Oh, I got on my last bull in 2012, and I think my last horse in 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
I'd rather ride bulls. They're not near as scary as riding bucking horses.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Horses just scare the daylights out of me. I'd rather ride a bull all day long.
So now, when did you start training, physically? I mean, and get certified as a certified trainer. When did that all come about?
Well, what happened was, to make always have a long way around the barn. So,
Right.
excuse me, I'm long-winded. You'll figure that out in the years to come if you haven't already. But what started it was in 2015, I had to have a back surgery. Uh, and I was lucky enough that North American Spine just heard my story through a GoFundMe, and they're like, "Wait a minute, if you just use the money that you got through the GoFundMe, which I'll never do again because that's just asking for a handout, and I don't do that. But in certain situations, I guess it's necessary. But anyway, they found my story, and they, I guess, thought it was inspiration for whatever reason. I'm just me. I put my pants on the same way everybody else does, two legs at a time. Uh,
Right.
but anyway, they uh, they did the surgery, and that was in January of 2015. I was walking around, and at that point, I was about 200 pounds. And with my cerebral palsy, everybody in the world, cerebral palsy is different if you don't know that. Like, there's no one case that's exactly the same. So
Right.
people always ask me, well, do you drive? Do you drive with hand control? No, I can drive, but I choose not to on the highway due to reaction time. But that has nothing
Right.
to do with the question you ask, but just to give people an idea of how things vary with cerebral palsy. Well, they did it, and I did a news piece the next morning for them, live TV in Houston, one of their morning news. I think it was Fox or something like that. For them doing
Right.
surgery, I'd rather ride Bodacious than sit in front of a camera with live TV. But anyway, they did the surgery, and I was started going to physical therapy probably in probably not February, March. And one of my physical therapists was in there, using the TENS unit and just talking to me. And I'd known these guys for 25 years or longer, some of my
Right.
best friends. And but one of them sat in there, and I was just telling him, I said, man, my body the way it is, one side of my muscles is tight, and one side of my muscles is loose. So it doesn't matter what I do. Even sitting here talking to you, there's some part of my body fighting against itself.
Right.
So the less I weigh, the less my body has to fight against. Well, at that
Right.
well at that time, I weighed almost 200 pounds, like I said, or maybe right at 200 pounds. So I was telling my physical therapist, I was, man, I really need to get into shape. I I'm just hurting, and I know why, because I just put on too much weight, and I just need to fix this. And he goes, well, have you ever tried CrossFit? I looked at him and said, what in the world is CrossFit? He said,
Right.
that's the hardest workout you'll ever do. I said, I'm in. Where do I sign up, and where's this place at? I didn't even know where it was at the time, but I was ready to jump off the table and go straight to the box, as they call it.
Right.
That's the terminology for a CrossFit gym. For those that don't know, is they call it a box. And when I first started, there wasn't very much information out there as far as an adaptive athlete in general. Like, there's only like one or two other people in the world that I can think of right offhand that have cerebral palsy that even train that way. I'm sure there's more now that I'm just not aware of, or at least I hope there is.
Right.
But that's why I started the Adapt and Overcome Friday series that you've seen on my YouTube, and you've seen on my Instagram, and you've seen Facebook. I don't know how long you personally followed me through the Facebook, but I've used it more than I have here on Instagram. But um, I started that in August 31st of 2015 was the first time I'd ever stepped foot in a box. And
Got.
the owner at the time said, we want to train you, but we're going to have to wait a couple of days. Give us till next week because we don't know how. I said, well, I don't either. All I know is I'm going to get it done. He said, okay.
Right.
And so he trained me for a little while, and then he was a he was a police officer, and he was also like a National Guard or something to do with the military. I'm not exactly sure what, so I won't say that. But so I got turned over to his wife, and she become one of the best friends I ever had, and I love her like a sister. And it's it was funny because neither one of us knew what the hell we were doing,
Right.
and it was just trial and error. Well, can you do this? I don't know. What do you want me to do? And then she'd demonstrate what a quote unquote normal person would do. And I'd say, well, yeah, but give me a minute. Let me figure it out. Anyway, it got to a point where both of us was going, this is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to do it. We just knew. Like usually you'd walk in there and they'd say, well, you have to do your own little workout or whatever. I was doing like personal training one-on-one for a while, and then
Right.
finally I graduated to the point where I could, be in there with the class and them feel comfortable enough knowing, that I knew how to handle weights and how to move around and how to not get into people's way. And because I literally knew nothing at all about working out other than what I'd seen on the internet and bodybuilding and stuff like that. And so I'm thinking, yeah, this CrossFit thing is it's pretty awesome because it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks in a good way. Like I crave that more than I ever did getting on a bareback horse, and I still crave that today. If you don't think I wouldn't get on a bull today at 36 years old with a new hip and a partially torn shoulder and a few other issues, if I possibly could, you're sadly mistaken. Because that was really my first love was
Right.
bull riding and rodeo, and then we just kind of fell into this CrossFit deal by accident, trying to get into shape, and then I just fell in love with it. Workouts like Murph and all those ones that honor those that have fallen, and just the harder the workout, the harder you push me, the more I like it. If you push me to the point where you think I'm going to puke, I'm going to prove to you wrong that I'm not going to puke. But I love being pushed to that point, and you know, like Ty Murray and J.B. Mooney used to say, if you want to be second, you might as well be 32nd.
Right.
Nobody's ever going to remember an 85-point ride, so why go anywhere else but here or whatever? But at that time, they had just started the adaptive version called WillWOD of the CrossFit Open. Are you familiar with what the Open is?
No, I'm not.
The CrossFit Open is a worldwide competition that you do online. Like
Okay.
I think it's actually the largest sporting event in the entire world. I think like at one point they had like 500,000 uh, participants throughout the world. And
Really?
what they would do was they would put out a website on or a website, excuse me, a workout on YouTube on like a Thursday night or whatever, and then WillWOD, which was people in wheelchairs and all different types of not just cerebral palsy, but people missing limbs or just all different kinds of adaptive needs.
Right.
Uh, they would then take the workout that they did for the able-bodied people, and then they would change it for people like me, but keep the stimulus the same and keep the workout as original as possible, but to where everybody in the world could do it. So,
Yeah.
and then that became a qualifying ground for what's known as the WillWOD Games and Wadapalooza, which is basically, to put it in rodeo terms, Wadapalooza and the CrossFit Games is pretty much making the NFR and the PBR finals in the same year and finishing in the top 5 in both. That's pretty much how hard that is to do. And I haven't yet qualified for the CrossFit Games because this year was the first year that they had put the adaptive division, to my knowledge, in the actual CrossFit games. You win
Gotcha.
the you win the CrossFit games, you're the fittest athlete in the world because of what they put you through. And there's different points of view as far as working out, going to a gym and working singular muscle groups and so on and so forth. And I have no problem with that. In fact, I do want to try that, get as much muscle on me as I possibly can, and maybe try the bodybuilding thing just because, well, I can, not for
Right.
any other real reason. But, I have nothing against that. But the CrossFit saying is, I can outlift a runner and I can outrun a lifter. So basically,
Right.
like, you can do pretty much all aspects of life. Like, it teaches old people how to pick up their groceries properly and things like that through deadlifting. Because you got to lean, you got to bend over and pick things up at times. You got to do that properly so you don't hurt your back and all that. But same thing goes into all aspects of training, not just CrossFit. You got to learn. You got to learn the what is it? You got to learn the mechanics of how to do
Right.
things so you don't hurt yourself. But at the end of the day, what I love most about CrossFit is to me, it's just like rodeo and bull riding. I compare everything in life to that, really. The great Donnie Gay told me one time, he said, son, some things you do in life, the risk just ain't worth the reward. But always remember, winning's between your ears. And
Right.
I never understood what that meant until I got older. And people are going to think I'm stupid by saying this, and I might even think I'm a little crazy for saying this, but having this hip surgery was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Having this injury was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And the fact that you have time to reflect and to think on, your life and things like that when you're awake at 4 in the morning and nobody else is because you can't sleep because you're in pain or whatever, you have time to think about, soul search, pretty much, people would
Yeah.
say. It's just eye opening and humbling to see how many people have actually, bought my shirts to help me get back and forth to my doctor's appointments, because my doctor is 170 miles one way from my house to there. But
Yeah.
so we created those so I could help my parents with gas and food and whatever, because I still live at home. I can pretty much do everything on my own except for drive. But
Right.
I live at home because of that, because you so many doctor's appointments and different things along those lines. It's hard to, I can't afford a Uber every time I got to go somewhere, or a
Right.
cab. And we live in Mayberry. There's less than 2,500 people in about 4 different towns around us. So everybody knows everybody, and I love the small town life. But basically, that's how I got into fitness.
Yeah. Now, you live in Mayberry. You live in the same Mayberry that the Andy Griffith Mayberry show is based on?
Uh, not literally, no.
Okay.
I just call the town
Okay.
Mayberry, making fun of
Got
how
you.
small it is, really. But uh,
So, so you mentioned your shirts. Now, what's the saying on the back of your shirt? There's only two things you can control.
yeah, your attitude and your effort.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Every
And
single every single day, there's only two things you can control. No matter what you go through in life, is your attitude and your effort. If you if you have a, excuse my language, but if you have a piss poor attitude, then it gets put in the universe, and then all of a sudden everything starts falling apart and nobody wants to be around you. And who wants to put bad things out in the universe when there's already enough bad things in this world going on and not enough good? So people need to just love on one another and help one another, and come together as one. And that's one thing about CrossFit that I like more than just your traditional gym, where you might go to the traditional gym, but how many guys and girls do you actually talk to and rally around and help them with their workouts through cheering them on and things like that? You don't really. You just listen to music and get your workout done typically and then leave, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
In CrossFit, it's completely different. Nobody leaves, and everybody's cheering everybody on and helping them. And there's always somebody there willing to help me. And I want to help other people in a similar situation as me or anybody in the world realize that winning truly is between your ears, and the only limits you have are the ones you put upon yourself, whether that's me, whether that's you, no matter who it is. And don't listen to the doctors because they're not God. Listen to them to an extent, but
Absolutely.
you're a doctor yourself. But I mean,
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, 110% on that. We'll talk about that on the podcast more.
okay.
But hey, where people can buy your T-shirts, which are super cool. Where's the best place for them to find your T-shirts at?
Right now I don't have any kind of store or anything like that, so just get a hold of me through Instagram or Facebook somehow like that, and we'll once we get paid, we'll just ship them out because they're right here at the house. And these black ones here, I don't know if you could see them. Probably not too well. Probably not. But
Yeah, I can see it.
but the black ones are what we have left, and there's about probably 20 or 30 of those left in every size, and I think we have 8 or 9 of the mediums in the gray and black. But personally, I like these better, and wish that I had come up with these first. But Tony Designs helped me design them and stuff, and just an all around great guy. And this hat here means a lot to me. The Diamond L brand out of Missouri. One of my best friends. I call him my agent because he's not literally my agent, but he is a Major League Baseball agent, and he raises bucking bulls, and he's a singer songwriter and just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet on the planet. And I've known him for more than a decade, so he's my agent. Usually, if I have any questions or anything like that regarding, how could I help Dan's brand grow, just because Dan's a really good guy and I want to help him out regardless of what he does for me, just for kind of the practice, because people always come to me when I used to do the interviews from a fan's perspective for the fans. I'd go to all these PBRs and rodeos and such,
Right.
and there was no such thing as podcast. I took an MP3 player to rodeos and sat back
Right.
and shoots a lot of times and did them that way. And then I would Skype it over to the company that I used to work for that would eventually put it on the website. And they called me the world's greatest rodeo fan at the time, which I ain't the world's greatest anything. Jesus Christ is, not me. But I guess if they wanted to use that for a marketing tool for a website, I guess, I
You
was
let
a
them.
17, 18-year-old kid, and if they would have told me to jump off a bridge backwards if I could rodeo, I was going to do it. So Dadgum nearly went broke, but that's a long story for a different day that we should probably talk about in private, not on
Well,
not
we can talk. We
publicly.
can talk about some of it on the podcast when we get you on there. How about that?
That'll work. That'll work. That's going to be an awful long podcast.
We might have to edit it down, James. I know how you like to talk. But hey, brother, hey man, it's been great having you on here. I mean, you're an inspiration. And everybody, you can head over to James' Instagram or his Facebook, pick up a shirt. That's the way he gets extra dough to help get him back and forth to the doctors. And there's a lot of people that get up every day and they've got things, they have challenges and stuff, but challenges that aren't even close to what you deal with every day. And a lot of people don't even choose to confront their challenges or do anything about it. So you're an inspiration, man, and my hat's off to you, and I look forward to having you on the podcast.
The truth of the matter is you can think I'm an inspiration, and the whole world can think I'm an inspiration, but the truth of the matter is who you surround yourself with, and who raises you, your parents, your grandparents, the people that influence you regardless of if you've got cerebral palsy or you're able-bodied or whatever, they're the true inspiration because they make you who you are in
Amen.
a lot of ways. So I live with my heroes every day, and these T-shirts aren't for me. They're to pay them back in some way. And so, it's a blessing, and it's an absolute honor to get to know you and to use your protein, which I use every day. Hint, hint, I'm about out, but
Okay.
but uh, but yeah, it's just a blessing, man. And people treat me way better than I deserve, and I love listening to your podcast. Whenever we first started talking, what was the one thing I told you, or you said you didn't even know I had a podcast?
Right.
No, I just found your protein and thought it sounded cool.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And
That's funny.
so I started listening to the podcast and really enjoying it. Now, admittedly, I don't listen to every single one of them, but I've listened to a lot more of those than I have others. The only other one that I really listened to was Matt West's podcast, and
Yeah.
me and Matt have a lot in common, even though we've never really talked a whole lot or anything like that. But him working out and you working out and the whole
Yeah.
rodeo stuff, and I used to be into wrestling from the time I was 2 years old to the time I was about 12. I was really into wrestling. So it's another thing me and Matt's got in common. So, Matt, if you're listening to this, get a hold of me. Just
Yeah.
throwing that
Hey,
out there.
I talked to Matt a while back. I was supposed to get him on the podcast. Haven't done it yet, but we'll have to do that, and then we'll have to get you on his podcast too.
Oh, well, neither one of you are that desperate for guests, are you?
Hey, James, man. Hey, it's been great having you on. Great talking with you, brother. And then, like I said, we'll get you scheduled. We'll do a podcast episode. And
Anytime, brother.
keep doing what you're doing, brother. You are an inspiration, man.
Well, I'll quit. I'll quit the day they bury me with my spurs on, with my rowels still spinning like that Ned Ledoux song goes. They're going to bury me with them rowels still spinning because I'm still going to be going at it till the day I die, whether I live to be 37 or 137. I'm going to be having fun the whole time, I guarantee it.
There you go, brother. All righty, James. Hey, man, you have a good night, and then we'll be talking soon.
You too.
Yep.
God bless. How do you turn this off, by the way?
Oh, it'll turn off in a minute. Hey, everybody, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it.
That
Cowboy
stuff is
Wednesday.
really good. Everybody needs to get some of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I use it every day. No joke. This is not he doesn't sponsor me in any way, shape, or form. But that stuff is really, really good. I use it every day to take my medicine with, because I can't eat too early in the morning or I'll throw up. It's something weird with my body.
Gotcha.
So I use protein to do it, and that's in the review that I did. That's why I always said, "Why is there only 22 servings in a thing of protein?" In general, not just yours, but in general, that seems to be the emphasis. But anyway, I know you were trying to get off here.
That's all right, James. That's all right, man. Hey, well, thanks again, and then we'll get you on the podcast. We'll do a full episode.
You bet. Sounds good. You have a great night. God bless everybody. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on, everybody. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
You bet.